sensed something was off the second I opened the cabin door. Not because of the silence that was expected. Snow blanketed the world in quiet. It was the absence of me that struck me. No boots by the door. No photo of us on the mantel. The leather chair I had picked out had vanished, replaced by something bland and forgettable. Then I found the documents in the office drawer. A file labeled property. Everything was different. Reprinted, reorganized, renamed. My name had been removed cleanly on the updated papers. Only her maiden name and her parents' names remained. We just made a few updates, her father said when I confronted him, sipping his coffee like we were making small talk on trash day. She smiled beside him. Still family land, she said. Sweet like venom. I walked out before I said something I'd regret. Drove 4 hours down that icy mountain with the heat in the car, refusing to work and my stomach in knots. That night I didn't sleep. I opened the safe, pulled out the original deed, signed by me, paid for by me, filed under my name, and I sent to the one person they never saw coming. But that came later, 3 years earlier. The cabin had been a dream, a rundown log shell on forgotten land. I saw what it could be. She saw what it might mean. Weekends were for rebuilding. New walls, new wires, new memories. Her parents called it too remote back then. Funny how they changed their minds when it was finished. Now they spent their retirement there, acting like they'd raised it with their own hands. She used to run barefoot up those porch steps. Wild hair, bright eyes. She called it our sanctuary. She said she'd never felt more at peace. She said a lot of things. The shift happened slowly. First, she stopped coming on weekends. Claimed work was too busy. Then came the girls' nights that never appeared on her calendar. I noticed charges at hardware stores near the cabin. Paint, lumber, locks. You said it needed updating. She told me casual. I hadn't said that. Then one night, her phone lit up on the table. A message preview from her father. Everything's in motion. He won't notice. She didn't see me read it. I didn't ask. I didn't yell. I kissed her forehead and told her to get some sleep. After that, I started sleeping in the office. She thought I was angry. I was focused. Pain has a way of sharpening you. It makes you careful. I hired someone. Quiet. Reliable. He brought back photos. Her parents unloading furniture. Swapping signs. Ripping out fixtures I installed. My wife handing over paperwork at the clerk's office. I followed the trail digital records, filing timestamps, property transfers. They weren't just taking the cabin. They were erasing me. But history doesn't disappear. Not when it's notarized. Not when it's filed in 3 states. Not when the original deed still carries my signature, my ID, my investment. They thought I was sentimental. They forgot I was methodical. I labeled every copy. I timestamped everything. Then I waited. The tip I sent was anonymous, just enough to raise interest. A routine audit caught the discrepancies. Right on cue. After that, I mailed the full file to her aunt, a retired real estate lawyer who despised her brother, my wife's father. They underestimated her, too. She went nuclear, filed a complaint, requested an inquiry. Her name alone brought everything to a halt. The cabin's legal status was frozen, pending investigation. That's when I planned a dinner. We met at a quiet steakhouse. I reserved the private room. Wore the same suit I wore when I first signed the deed. Petty maybe, but satisfying. Her parents arrived smug. My wife showed up late. Dramatic as always. I placed a file on the table. My name was never off the title. I said, "You forged new records, filed them under a fake trust, but public records don't lie, and neither does the person I sent them to." Her father reached for the folder. I didn't let it go. I filed a lawsuit. Fraud, death, conspiracy. You'll burn through your pensions and legal fees before the C's trial. He looked at her. She looked at me. I was already standing. They're still fighting it. Last I heard, they were trying to mortgage their house to stay afloat. Her aunt's deposition shredded their timeline. The judge called it a calculated attempt to dispossess the legal owner. I sat in the back row of a hearing, silent. Still, she didn't say a word, just stared at the floor, hands trembling. After the ruling, I didn't smile. I didn't speak. I walked outside into the cold, took a long breath, and drove up the mountain. The cabin was locked, but I still had the key. Inside, the leather chair was there under a tarp, untouched. I poured a drink, stood by the window, and watched the snowfall. You don't always have to raise your voice to be heard. Sometimes silence backed by proof is louder than any argument. They took my trust, my time, tried to take my home, so I took everything else. And now, when she says it's still family property, she's right.